Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of For My Friends. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining me for another episode of For My Friends. We have one of the brightest, smartest people I know, and I haven't talked to her in a long time, but I know she's a star, and we all know her from South Plantation. Stephanie, new name Stephanie Mackey. Stephanie,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you for joining. And you're like one name. I say Stephanie at South Plantation, everybody knows who I'm talking about, right? I don't even need to use your old last name at this point. Everybody knows who you are. So I appreciate you for joining me. Um, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. This is such a great thing that you're doing. I love it. I love
I
it.
I appreciate that. We did a bunch of them in the beginning of the pandemic, and I got busy with work and some different things. But I said, you know what? I got to go back to this. This was as most of us through the pandemic kind of found ourselves a lot of sitting
Mm.
home with our husbands, our wives, drinking wine on the deck, and this was one of my hobbies I picked up. Right on top of the honeydew list and the redoing a part of the house like everybody else,
Oh,
spending a bunch of
yes.
money at Home Depot and Lowe's.
Yes.
This was my thing. I found a thing. So shout out to my buddy Andrew Wright, Nick Zanino, all these guys that have helped me put this together in some format. And this is what I love. So I had to come back to it now that I have some peace time, business is back to normal, family is almost back to normal. I had to get back to it. I have too much fun doing it, and I love these conversations.
Yeah, I think you know, there were a lot of good things that came out of COVID. Although it was stressful and it sucked
Right.
and all of these things, like it really made you value time with your loved ones.
Correct.
And a lot of other things that made you, say, "Oh
Yeah.
man," but it really kind of like in a way brought us closer to the people and the things that we cared about. Because
Couldn't have
you
said it better.
realize how quickly all of that can be taken away from you, you know?
You're right, because then you all of a sudden you, as I adjust my light here, you're hanging out, and all of a sudden you get an email from your mom or a call. Oh, your uncle passed on the other side of the country.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
remember that kid you went to high school with? Yeah, he's only 39, and now he's gone from COVID, or he lost a daughter, or something scary. So
Yeah.
you're right. One of my clients or candidates said, in the pandemic, I learned what true wealth was, and nothing to do with money. It was your family and your relationships, and I thought that was so powerful. And so,
Yes.
piggybacking off what you're saying, so
Yes.
I always start with the same conversation or the same question: Who were you at South Plantation?
At South Plantation, I was Stephanie Allen. I was a performing arts student in chorus. I was a cheerleader, captain senior year.
Oh, got to throw
Um,
that captain in there.
gotta
Got to
throw
give
that
credit.
in there. um, and I hope a good friend to a lot of really good people and a lot of people that I'm still in contact with. And, of course, social media helps us out a lot with that, staying
Yes.
connected. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's
Again,
where I was.
one of the good things of social media and the pandemic, you got to catch up with your friends on the other side of the planet, or some like Trisha's like, I live in Tamarack. I was just talking to Trisha Antonio, and I'm like, I had no idea you were that close, but I
Right.
saw your pictures with your daughter and this and that, and so it's funny that that happens. So all those things, and I think you're our third chorister on the podcast. Steve Stair, Trisha, yourself. So a lot
Yes.
of choristers on there. So was your path easy at South Plantation?
I think it was. I think it was easy. You know, uh, I think we had a little shakeup. Um, and I don't know if Trish touched on this or even remembers it, but we had a coach, a cheerleading coach at one point, and I almost kind of hate to bring this up because I loved her daughter who was a student at South at the time, and she was a little older, had graduated like I think when I was a sophomore, but she was our original cheerleading coach, and she just kind of did certain things that didn't sit right with people. And so like she would you know separate like me and Renee. One time we went to we had a banquet or something, and Renee and I who was my best friend at the time, also a cheerleader, Renee Brown. And she's still my best friend.
No, good, good.
I said that kind of funny. She's
Yeah.
still
Like, oh,
my
I don't
very
talk to
best
her no
friend.
more. I don't talk to her.
But she like made us ride with her. We couldn't ride with the other girls. And she did other like little things that were just kind of, we were like,
Interesting.
why are you separating us from other people, you know? And I think this was just before Trisha and Cookie also became members of the cheerleading team. Anyway, you know, we brought our concerns, because it was a couple of different things. We brought our concerns to the athletic director, who like quickly, you know, took action. And then we got another cheerleading coach, and it was great. And she was like a college cheerleader herself and a great coach, and really like brought all of us together. And we had an awesome squad. And we even like competed one time and went to camps and stuff like that once she came on board. But it was a little sticky in the beginning.
Oh, wow.
we,
See, I didn't know
we
anything
noticed,
about that. All right, interesting.
it was kind of like swept under the rug a little bit. But yeah, I think we were on JV. This was before we became varsity. And we just noticed like she would like separate us from the other girls. And we were the only two at the time, Black girls on the squad. And so it was just like little things. Yeah. But then our squad quickly got a little bit more diverse. And then with the new coach, it just really brought us together, and we were like an awesome squad, and we had some really, really fun times and memories. But before that, it was a little funky.
Okay. Yeah. No. Wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But other than that, I thought, you know, I had a great time in high school.
Well, that's good. And you know what? That I don't hear that often. I mean, I hear it a lot on our podcast, thank God. But of regular friends, coworkers, high school is usually a stressful, they picked on me, or I never fit in, or I didn't feel like myself, or I just, smoked weed the whole time, or something like that. I think it's refreshing that I talk to so many South Plantation folks, and they say they had a good time. And it was not the best time of their life per se, as an adult with family and kids and weddings and whatnot, but it was good.
It was good. And like, I tell you what, though, I'm glad we didn't have social media and all this stuff these kids have now.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, you're right on that. You're absolutely right on that, right? You could escape. You could escape in our day, and even escape with 100 people, and you would still be okay.
Right. Like, I vividly remember parties, like, I mean, where just everyone was just having a great time. You were there. It was at Lindsay's house. I can't even remember what it was, if it was around homecoming or what, but I can't even remember. I just remember like we had stuff like that all the time, and it was just so much fun, and everybody got along. You know, if there was any kind of crazy drama, I didn't know about it, but
It
I
was
just
on the
had
periphery.
I have so many really good memories like that, you know?
Okay. Well, let me ask you that. That's one of the questions I ask. What is one of your favorite, times from a party or an event? One of those things that you just cherish from those days.
Oh gosh. I and this isn't just like a one-time thing, but like I think it was a football game we played. I think it was at Piper, and the other school, Piper, I don't know if it was a team or it was just fans or whatever, but they was throwing rocks at our bus.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, and
Okay.
it's just like it was kind of like one of those things, like everybody like came together, like we're already a team, you know, but the cheerleaders, the football players, everybody's like, oh no, you didn't, you know, stuff like that. It just coming together. I loved Miss Miss Garcia. Um, a lot of fond memories with her. I forgot the name of the class that I was in with her, but she just had this knack of like really bringing everybody together and pulling the best things out about each person. Um, yeah, and just like parties like that had nothing to do with school, you know, stuff like that. Like just really like the togetherness. Like I had I can't remember how it happened, but one time some of the guys from the football team, for whatever reason, I can't remember how it happened, but my mom had cooked some shepherd's pie, and like Moke and Leonard and Larry, Moke's brother. It was like a couple of guys, and they like had it to where my mom was like making them shepherd's pie like every couple of weeks because it was so good. Like, but those are like little different
That's
memories
awesome.
that, you know,
That's
pop in my
awesome.
head, and it just seemed like a community, you know? Yeah.
We had a blessed time, and even I think you're probably 2 years younger than I am, and I think that's good that you can still have that community in a 5 6 year period of good people, right? Because I
Yeah.
talk to Larry all the time, and
Yeah.
he's still a very good friend of mine. So that's good to have that. What do you think people didn't know about you back in those days?
Hmm. Oh, that's a good question. You have stumped me already. I was really at that time, I would say a few people knew, but at that time I was really into like pageants and modeling.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
matter of fact, right after I graduated in 98, I won this modeling competition in New York, and was literally getting ready to like sign my life away. And like, I wasn't tall enough to like be like a runway model,
Hmm.
but I was being looked at for like catalog or like being a fit model where they, you
That's
know,
pretty
designers
cool.
like make clothes on you, that type of thing. That was back in my
Is that?
pre-baby body. But I was ready to like sign my life away, and I got a chance to meet, speaking of the times with the new Tom Cruise movie, one of Tom Cruise's very first agents when he was really early in the business. She was at this big competition, and I won.
Mhm.
When I say I won for like my age group
Right, right, right.
category, my age category or whatever. And she gave the most awesome sound advice, and like really kind of painted the picture of years later what you saw when you saw that Tyra Banks modeling show. But she just
Mhm.
really laid it out how like you're going to be in a house full of other girls, and you're going to be going out, and you're going to be, you know, trying to get jobs, and it's not like this glamorous life. And when she
Mhm.
started
It's
to
hard
kind of
work.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, paint that picture of how grueling it is and
The
how it's
grind.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, I started thinking like maybe college might
College
be
don't
a
sound
lot
that
better.
bad. Yeah, college don't sound that bad.
So, but behind the scenes, I did like a lot of like competitions and stuff like that.
I
So
didn't know
that's
that. That's
probably
awesome.
something that, yeah, people might not have known. So, but
That's
yeah, I
awesome.
had totally, because I like the few people that did know, somebody, I can't remember who it was, even wrote something about it in my yearbook, like, oh, congratulations, you'll do great in New York or something like that.
Mhm.
And I look back at that and I'm just like, wow, like, I wonder what if, you know?
Wow,
So,
that is an interesting story.
but I was not interested in, you know, being in a house full of a whole bunch of other girls on the grind like that every day. Not
Not at
interested.
17, 18 years old. That's a lot of work.
No,
That's a
no.
lot
And
of work.
my parents were not, they were like, you go to New York by yourself. No.
No,
Uh-uh.
yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's jump ahead to another question I like to ask is, so now, right, you're in your 40s, I would imagine by now.
42.
What's what's the advice for your 17-year-old self now?
Oh man. Um, you know, don't limit yourself. Don't put yourself in a box or just think that things are gonna, don't get tunnel vision. Don't get
Mm,
tunnel vision. Um, every opportunity that comes your way is going to be something that you can put in your toolbox.
cool. I like that.
So, you know, accept different opportunities, even though it might not seem like it's
Hmm.
something that you want to do, you know, accept those opportunities, take them, take what you can get from them for
Hmm.
your toolbox and keep it moving.
Do you? Do you think there's something you missed from your toolbox at 17 that you're like, I should have paid more attention to that when
No,
it happened?
I think it's something a little later on down the line for sure. Um, and I would also say like on the love side of things, um, like focus on what you want to do in your life, and um don't block your own blessings as far like career wise.
Ooh,
When
don't block your
I
own blessing. Let's unpack that. What do you mean? I like that. Don't block your own blessing. Tell me more.
well, so when I say that, like, I'm a big believer in love and marriage and all of that great stuff, right? Um, I feel blessed to have my husband now, but I was married before. So I
Okay.
married my college sweetheart. Um, and I feel like, although I think my journey is perfect the way it is now, and I can I'm glad things went the way they did either way,
Mhm.
but my career, so I was a journalism major, which my life has come full circle because now I'm working at a TV station. But I was all about going in radio and having a radio career, and I had one for 10 years. And my program director, about my fifth year or so, um, said, "Hey, I'm moving to Atlanta. You would be," and at the time, I was a midday personality on a top rated show. Mind you, though, it was in Tallahassee. So
Hey, I
very
love
small,
Tallahassee. You're talking to
right?
a Seminole. You
I
can't say
know,
nothing bad about Tallahassee
I
to me.
know, I know. But as far as radio market is way down on the
Way,
list,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
So he was like, "I'm moving to Atlanta. I think you would do really well there, and I would have a spot open for you." I was so like this. No, but I have my boyfriend and he's staying here. And we were already kind of doing long distance between Tallahassee and Jacksonville. And I passed on that
Mm,
awesome opportunity to
wow.
go to a
Yeah.
much
Bigger
better
market.
market,
Oh, yeah.
a lot more money.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
For
I
love.
I eventually, for love, I eventually moved to Jacksonville, so a little bit better market. Spent about 5 years there, got married, and then uh yeah, that marriage didn't work out. So I always in my mind I'm like, oh, you know,
What could have
I
been?
wonder, yes, I
What could
wonder
have
what could
been?
have been. And my colleague, who at the time, and I just I love that she's so successful now, but she was working at the same station with me. She's like, well, you passed on that, but I'm not.
Yeah.
She went.
Okay.
And her name's Maria Moore. Sometimes she fills in on the Ricky Smiley Morning Show, which
Yep.
is a
That's big.
nationally syndicated
Big.
show. Yeah,
Big.
she fills
Big.
in a lot on that show, and she has her own successful show in Atlanta. So, it's just like I always kind of like,
Mm.
damn. I wonder,
Damn. Yeah. No, that's a damn. You're right on that. That's a big damn. Yeah.
right? I wonder
Yeah.
what would have happened.
Yeah. That is super interesting.
Yeah.
That is super interesting. How did you get started in radio, even in Tallahassee? How'd you end up down that path?
So I started at FAM at our campus radio station.
Hmm.
So I mean, I had my journalism classes. I worked at our TV station as well. But when I started working at our radio station, that bug just bit me hard. And because I love music, I love all kinds of music. And so I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like I could do this forever, And so I had my own show. I had two shows. I had my own show, and then I was a part of this what we call the Saturday morning show. They still have it to this day. So we
There you
kind of
go.
we kind of
Legacy. There you
started,
go.
yeah, we kind of started something like 2 years ago. We actually were on during homecoming. They invited all the first cast. So it
Look
was
at you
like
like an
five of us.
MTV first
Yeah,
cast.
yeah. It was
That's
like
awesome.
five of us. And everybody kind of brought something different to the table. So I had my show and then Saturday morning show, and that kicked off my love of radio. And
That
I
is
had a
awesome.
great radio career, even though I was in, Tallahassee and Jacksonville, which are smaller markets, but oh man, I had the time of my life.
Those are great
I
market.
like,
Those are great markets for up and coming talent, new music,
oh
right?
yeah,
Being embodied in the South, a different version, right? It's not, Alabama, Tennessee South. It's our version
right,
of the South,
right,
right? So that those
right.
are those are good markets, man.
Man,
That's good
when,
markets.
when you can see, and he wasn't the only one, but when you can see somebody like T-Pain,
You took the words right
who,
out of my mouth. I was like, that's T-Pain, that's Nappy Roots,
listen,
that's organic music right there, man. I
knew
love
all
that.
of them, met all of them, and got to see all of them from their very small beginnings blow up. Like T-Pain literally used to stand outside the radio station. And he had a couple of friends that were DJs. So, like he was at the station all the time and trying to get us to listen to stuff, to then see him, to be this big
Oh wow.
star
His
was
podcast
really,
is
really
hilarious too.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
It was
hilarious.
really awesome to see that, and his dad was a business owner right there in Tallahassee. So it's just like, to see, to be a
The
part
growth.
of something
That's
like
awesome.
that was really, really cool back in the day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm happy we went down that path. That was beautiful. I love that. That was good. So as you say that, right? So you had this burgeoning career, started in college, radio, this. That's a lot. That's big, right? As you say, you missed one grind at 17, jumped into another unique grind at 21, 22.
hmm
What was your shift to adulthood? When did you know shit got real?
Ooh,
I'm a
shit
big
got
girl
real.
now. I'm
Shit
a
got
big girl
real
now.
with that first paycheck, and most of it went to bills. Like that's when shit got real. I was like, I don't have mommy and daddy's help anymore. Like,
Yeah,
I gotta pay all of
all
this
of this.
with just this. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And just so if for people that don't know, like, I mean, radio has changed a lot, and you don't see this as much anymore. But radio personalities used to do a lot of like live remotes, like at car
The car
dealerships and
dealerships, right? Yeah,
different
yeah, yeah. The
stores. And
picnics and different
yeah,
things. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, we would get paid like separate from our salary for those things, right? Because it was almost like you get your talent fee for that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, listen, guess who was signing up every weekend, every opportunity? I was like, sign me up. I'll go.
Yep.
I'll
Yep.
go to Toyota. I'll go to I'll go to that club. I'll go to that taco place. Sign me up.
Yep. Yep. I'll do the live promotes. Yep.
Yes,
Come in.
yes.
That's funny.
I'm trying to get that money. And
Yeah.
back then, we didn't have we didn't have those extra ways to market ourselves. We didn't have social media back then.
Right.
MySpace was coming out as I was probably like my last 2 years
Mm-hmm.
being in radio. MySpace had just kind of taken off. So we
Mm-hmm.
didn't, prior to that, we didn't have
Your
outside
own
of like,
platform to go do something.
yeah, outside
Mm-hmm.
of the station website, there was no really other way to market yourself.
Could you imagine if you could have started your own girls only podcast?
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
the ladies of FAMU
Oh my
Sunday, just
gosh.
talking about all the bull crap that happened from Wednesday to Saturday night with a ladies spin Sunday afternoon
Right.
podcast. I mean, you would have been huge.
Right.
Girls calling, listen what this fool told me at the moon. Then I met him again Saturday night at so and he didn't even remember that I saw him Thursday at so and so.
Oh, and by the way, when I was in college, I worked at the Moon. I was a ticket girl.
Oh, are you serious? That's fun.
Yep. Like my senior year, I
Oh
worked
my
my whole
God.
senior year at the
You
Moon.
were grinding, girl. You were grinding.
Stetsons on the Moon,
Yeah.
all the nights.
You did everything. Country
I was at
night,
the
hip
box.
hop night, you were everywhere. Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's too
Oh
funny.
yeah. Radio
Oh,
station and Moon. Those are my jobs.
I could imagine you with a podcast back in those days.
Oh man.
Oh man,
Oh
that would have been, I mean, huge,
yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Because
It's
with just a
crazy.
ladies only thing, and guys would have been tuning in to hear the other side, and girls would have been calling in and interviewing. Oh my God, you would have been huge, huge.
Oh man.
You wouldn't have needed the Atlanta. You could have blown up on your own. You could have been blown up on your own.
Right.
That is too funny. That is too funny. So yeah, shit got real, right? That first paycheck, and you realize, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was gonna get $1,800. Now with after taxes, it's $1,100. What am I
Right.
supposed to do with $1,100?
Right. Exactly.
Right? And now
Oh
you
yeah.
look back and you're like, I can't do nothing with $1,100. I can't even pay my mortgage now.
That barely feeds everybody.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's a big shift in those days. So so that's the big shift. Now you're in Jacksonville.
No, I'm in Charlotte.
No, I'm just saying, no, in the evolution, right? So
Oh,
you
there. Yeah,
get to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jacksonville, that marriage doesn't work out. What
Yep.
happens next? Because that's big. That could stunt a lot of people's kind of emotional growth at that young age. What happens now?
It did stump me for a while. I was in a deep dark place for a while because I have this, to me, amazing example of a marriage and of putting each other, choosing each other every single day. My parents just celebrated 50 years of being married.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
so for me, it was just like this huge, because in my mind, divorce was not in my vocabulary, was not in my
Hmm.
plans, it was
The
not
D
in my
word.
thoughts.
Hmm.
Yes, it was not in my thoughts, none of that. And so for me, that was just a huge blow because I just, all of my life up to that point, I'd seen this awesome example, and not saying
Good
that it was
marriage.
always easy, but they made a choice every single day, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that, and I was just like, how is this happening? You know, um, and I realized I was the only person that wanted to try to make it work. In his mind, he was gone. He was off with his mistress, and
Oh,
he didn't give me a second thought. And that was, for me, that was so, because I felt like I put him first in all of my thoughts. I turned down what could have been an awesome radio career, like
yeah,
all of
yeah,
these things,
yeah.
and it was like, what?
Wow, that's heavy. That's
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah. So it sucked for a minute. And I was a radio personality at the time, and in the city, and out at events and things like that, and then I would see them, and it was
What?
just, oh yeah, he would bring her. It was just kind of like, wow, really, you could just gonna parade this all up in my face? Oh
Oh,
yeah.
wow,
It
that's
was bad.
petty.
It was
That's
bad.
petty.
It was
Because he
bad.
knew you were gonna be there. He ain't no fool.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So I things were just changing career wise, and I saw some other opportunities. I ended up leaving radio, working at an ad agency. Our biggest client was McDonald's at the time.
okay,
And then McDonald's recruited me over, and I moved to Seattle. So that
okay.
kind of gave me a
I think
really,
that was the last time I connected with you in
yeah.
some kind of communication when you had made that a move originally.
Yeah, and that honestly gave me like a fresh start. Like I was in a whole different place, different
Hmm.
people. I didn't have to, get stuff thrown in my face every day. And I was just able to start fresh. And I was
Hmm.
only there for like 3 years, but it was the restart that I needed, just kind of just whole new environment. And in my career at that time was more in the advertising and marketing world, which was
Hmm.
different for me because I was used to, radio, entertainment. But I was able to take those things that I learned from radio, copywriting, you
Hmm.
know, announcing different things. I knew how like commercials should sound, and
Hmm.
how talent would react and things like that. So I took those
Beautiful.
little things
Beautiful.
along with me, and then it was like a big learning curve for me because I wasn't a marketing student or
Hmm.
advertising student,
Advertising. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it was kind of those things that I picked up along the way. And then that kind of, after 8 years of that, I kind of trickled into brand management, and that's what I'm doing now for the local NBC station in Charlotte. So I'm the brand manager, and so it was kind of cool because it came full circle. So
Hmm.
I was a journalism student, and now here I am working
Working
with
at a
journalists every day. So
beautiful.
um it was a pretty cool full circle moment. So things
What?
work out anyway, but
Yeah, God
you
bless.
know,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
What's it like moving on the other side of the country by yourself?
It was scary as hell.
Yeah.
But I figured, after the bull crap that I had went through, I was like, everything in my soul was like, you need this. You need this. But listen, being a Florida girl and going out to Seattle in the damp darkness.
Yeah, a coat every day, boots
Yeah.
every day instead of
Yep.
sandals or sneakers.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Overcast just about every day. I mean,
yeah.
their summer is still pretty cool out.
Oh yeah.
They at that time, I don't know how things have changed, because climate change is real. I don't know how things have changed now, but I mean, they would even announce like on the news, like, oh, there's going to be a sun break today around 11 o'clock, and literally like people open up the windows because they're like so excited to see the sun come out for just a little bit.
Yeah, no, I've been to Seattle in June and I was like, I gotta wear a vest, long sleeve shirt, boots,
Mhm.
hat. It's like 50 degrees in the middle of the
Yeah,
afternoon.
but that's warm to a
That's
lot of
warm.
people.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was
That's
shocked at
warm.
that.
Yeah.
I told you like when we were talking before, I love Seattle.
Yeah.
That's one of the places I mean, I don't know if I can deal with that. That's like a 3 month. I can when Jen and I are retired, my wife Jen, and we can just hang out, eat
Yeah.
sushi and fish every day and deer and venison and all that wild foods they have out west for like 3 months, June to
Right.
August, come back home. Have a birthday party and come back home
Right.
after in August. I gotta go back to South Florida. I gotta get back to the South.
But I loved it because it opened up a side, like an adventure side of me that I didn't know that I had. Like, so
Mhm.
hiking and skiing and all the things that
Right.
you can't
Yeah.
really do in Florida.
No, yeah, exactly. When you can sit
That
at
was
a
so
cafe
fun.
and see a mountain range in the back and see snow, and you're like, it's snowing 100 miles away from here, and we can still see it in the distance. I thought that was the
Yep.
coolest thing. Again, that was in June.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's beautiful out there. I mean, living there, it was a transition, but I definitely say anybody that can go visit. It's wonderful. And then Canada is a 3 hour ferry ride, and the ferry
Yeah,
ride it goes by a lot faster than you think.
yeah, because you're looking outside, you're seeing whales, you're seeing all kinds
Yeah,
of stuff outside, the different mountain ranges and the islands, all kinds of cool stuff out there.
people are friendly. And then you got
Nice.
Portland. Portland is right up the road. I mean, it's a really cool, I really enjoyed that time of my life. It was short, but I enjoyed that time of my life, and it was a good reset for me. It really was.
As you bring up Portland, I've got family in that area, and I talk to them every once in a while. It's not the most diverse community out there.
No, it's not.
How was that, right? A South Florida girl, right? We have Miami bass, we got hip hop, we got reggaeton around that
Right,
time. How is
right.
that culture difference out there?
Oh man. When they say like tree hugger, like they were not so, and you think like I was on like our regional marketing team for McDonald's. So where I'm going like every month for meetings for a couple of days every month, for meetings and stuff like that. And like you're talking about Portland being this place that's more about supporting like the little guy, the moms and
Mm,
pops and the local
mhm.
places. And so it
Yep,
was
that's what
hard
I've
to
heard.
really break our messaging through.
Mhm,
There's always going to be folks that everywhere that, are going to depend on and love McDonald's, but it was trying to like gain a broader,
mhm. View. Mhm,
yeah, it's hard there. And to your point, like diversity is not big there. Really
mhm.
good restaurants.
Yeah, and I
Um,
don't think it's a purposeful thing. It's just a lot of
yeah,
people of color just haven't made it out that way per se.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and Seattle is not too far behind as far as, I mean, you have a lot of gentrification going on there. I had friends that grew up in there's this area there called the Central District. And I mean,
Mhm.
I had friends that like grew up there, and they'll tell you like it looks nothing like
Mhm. The new
like
money
what I
coming
did.
in.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because they're moving everybody out and it's so much more expensive to live there. And the really, really good restaurants that have been around forever, some of them minority and black owned, they're moving them, kicking them to the curb. So you
Mm.
have a lot of that. I mean, Seattle's definitely better than Portland from a diverse
Diversity
standpoint, but
standpoint. Hmm.
it's not too far behind. They still got a lot of work to do.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, no, like I said, my cousins have told me a little bit about that, and I've read about that. Keep Portland weird, and the
It's definitely
the
weird.
yeah, the homelessness out there, the drug addiction out there. My cousins have told me some crazy stories about some of that out there. So that's interesting. That's
Oh
interesting.
yeah.
So so that's there. You're back east. You're married. You're in Charlotte.
Hmm.
Family. What's what's your story now, right? What's Stephanie into now?
Oh man, I love my job. I do a number of different things. From making I do a lot of our social creative for
Oh,
our
that's pretty
social
cool.
media and digital products, and work with the talent on building their brands, their personal
The personalities.
brands,
Okay,
and
cool.
because all of that then benefits our station as a whole.
Of course.
Um, my boss during COVID, my boss tapped me to work on a special project. It was like an image, what we call an image spot, or like an image campaign about this was shortly after George Floyd.
Hmm.
And um he was like, I want like a spot we can run that lets the community know that we're here, we're listening, because in this market our NBC station is kind of the underdog, um
Mm.
but we're knocking them out. We're
Mm.
we're coming up.
Okay. Okay.
We're making some moves. Um, but so yeah, so I myself and my art director, we worked on this spot, and we actually got an Emmy nomination for our region. So on this spot. So, and it
Huge.
honestly, this was not that was not like a goal of mine at all, but when you have somebody that, and I tell people this, who want to be managers, who want to be leaders, I'm like, man, challenge your people, and the things that you see that are strengths in them, tap on that, make them tap into that. And my boss is so good with that. Like, he was like, I really think this is a spot that you could produce. He was like, I really think you could do this. And I literally sat for hours and watched footage of our newscast of, because we had a lot of big protests here. And I just looked through all of that protest footage. I storyboarded everything out how I wanted it to look. My art director, I always tease him saying he put the sexy on it. He put the sexy on it, added some cool graphics and stuff, and really came together with a nice spot. And my boss was like, I believe in this so much, I'm submitting it because I really think this is good. Like, it's award-winning good, you know? And
That's
so
awesome.
it's like I said, it wasn't even something I was trying to do, but my boss said, "Hey, I believe in you. I think you could put together a really cool spot." And that's not even something I do on a day-to-day basis, but he was like, he's all about um if he sees a strength in you, he wants to tap in on that. Like, I really think you could do this. Don't worry about editing. Like, we can help with that, but like,
We
what's
can
your
support
vision?
you.
What's your
Hmm.
vision for this? Yeah. And so I get to do
That's
cool stuff
beautiful.
like that every day. And
Mm.
I really love my job. And of course my daughter takes up, and my husband too, but she's got us wrapped around her little fingers.
Yeah, that's what
So
they do. That's what they do.
we're
They
into
do that well.
gymnastics and swimming this summer. And so she's gonna have us the other half of our schedules busy and tied up.
Okay. Is she a good swimmer already?
Kind of. She is not scared of the water, which scares me because I'm like, you need to have some respect for the water because you don't know how to swim yet. So, but we feel like it's a good. We were trying to get her in pre-COVID. So I wanted her to learn early because I learned really early. So the fact that she's not afraid though makes me feel good. I think it'll be a little easier because she loves being in the water. She just
Beautiful.
needs to learn the skills.
Yeah, no, that's good. Start them young. Start them
Yeah.
young. My all my kids learned to swim before they were 2 years old.
Yeah.
I mean,
That
we're
was my
we're in
plan.
Florida. We're in Florida with a pool and all of that. You know, my wife's off in the summers as a teacher, but it helps. It
Yeah.
helps when you're at a party and you're just like, oh, and you're just like, hey, my kids can swim. You on your
Right.
own. You got to
Right.
watch your own kids. We're
Right.
good.
Right.
We're good.
Right. I'm that one that has to like sit and hold her in the water right now. So I'm like, swimming lessons, here we go.
All right, summer 22. We gotta get it in. We
Right.
gotta get it in. We gotta get it in. So you're doing some amazing things. Work sounds like you're killing it, and
It's fun.
yeah. You know,
It's fun.
you're figuring out the wife and mom thing like all of us on the fly in our mid 40s. What should people know about your journey, right? Through divorce at a young age, living in multiple cities, right? You know, your husband's an entrepreneur. You know,
Mhm.
what should people know about your journey?
That everyone's journey is different for one. So don't compare your life. I think
Ooh,
all of us at
I
some
like
point,
that.
I think all of us at some point,
Of
right? We
course, keep up
saw,
with the Joneses
yeah,
in some shape.
saw a
Hmm.
friend doing well, and oh man, why can't I have that? That kind of
Yeah.
thing.
How can
No,
they
because
afford a
she,
boat? Yeah. What
right,
is happening?
right. What did I do wrong?
Bro.
But you know, what people should know is that, when you get knocked down, and this sounds so cliche, but it's so true. Like,
Hmm.
you know, I am spiritual too, and I feel like the Heavenly Father is not going to put more on you than you can bear. At the time when you're going through the mess, oh my gosh, it feels like I am never climbing out of this hole. I can't get out. Every time I reach up, I cannot get out of it. But
Hmm.
eventually, when you sit down and you think about things, you're like, wow, I am here now, and
Hmm.
gosh,
Hmm.
I did get out of that hole.
Hmm.
Like,
Yes.
um but it like all of those hard times really do build you up, and
Hmm.
really do like kind of build your armor, your life armor.
Hmm. Of course.
It facing different challenges and things like that. It's like it's so scary at first, and it sucks really bad. And when you're in the moment, it's like you cannot see any way out of it. And wherever you pull your strength from, whether it's spiritually or just
Hmm.
what you feel inside, for me, having a good support system too, surrounding yourself with positive people is so important. And I even honestly, I, I went back and I apologized to some people because
Oh,
I was
wow.
I was so down, man. I was so down sometimes and just so depressed. And I feel like I leaned on some of my friends. I'm like, you know what? I didn't ask you how your day was. I just called you and started crying, or I just called you and just laid all my shit on you. And then you built me up and made me feel better. And then I was like, okay, I'll
All
talk
right,
to
bye.
and I did. I went back and I apologized to some people because I was just like, man, I probably sucked the life out of you for a long time. And I'm
That's
so sorry.
bold. That is
You know,
bold.
but at the time I needed that.
Mm,
Like I needed to feel loved up on. You know what I
mm,
mean? I just was so I think and I try to tell young people this. I have a girl that I manage on my team, and she's in her 20s, fresh out of she's in our like
me too. Me
producer and
too.
residence
Hmm.
program. It's like a 2-year program right out of school. And I set aside time every week to just kind of chat about life with her. And I'm like, don't like I know you're living in the now, but like be able to or try to think um bigger, you know like we're trying to kind of plan for her next steps. And she's thinking of and you probably see this too with millennials, especially. The now, and I want it now, and I want
Mm-hmm.
my dream
Yeah.
job
Now.
now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
no.
Yeah.
The different little life experiences, whether personal or your career, that are happening right now, it's not always going to be what you want. It's not. Sometimes you're going to have
Mm-hmm.
to sit in the shit, you
That's
know?
how life works. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to have to sit in the shit, and it's going to suck.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
job, sometimes it's going to
Yeah.
be not the thing that you really saw yourself doing, but it's going to give you the tools and the skills, for when you do get there, you're going to be like the expert, the top
Yeah.
whatever, because
Mm-hmm.
you sat in that for a while and you weren't
Mm-hmm.
that happy, but you're gaining those skills. And that's the same thing
Mm-hmm.
with life. It's like that divorce, that, trauma, all of those things build up that armor for you. Um, and we don't know when we're going to
Mm-hmm.
have to tap into it or use it,
Mm-hmm.
or, we don't know.
Powerful.
It sucks when you're in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
but you just got to keep pushing. Like, what are you pushing for? And like now, we have children now, so we know we got to be here for them. We got to keep pushing through it for them. We got to
Yeah.
set the example for
You're living
them
for
so
someone
they can
else.
be,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the best person they can be, and we
Yeah.
have a hand in molding that. So now I got to be the example for her, you know.
Mm-hmm. That was awesome. I'm happy I asked you that. That was powerful.
I hope it wasn't all over the place, but
No, there's a
um
lot of good things in there. There was a lot of
yeah.
good things in there because I'm with you on that. I'm a Christian myself, and my wife and I don't physically go to church anymore. We watch. But something our pastor said was your tormentor can turn into your mentor because those lessons in the hard place becomes the things that God is trying to teach you, but you don't know because it's just tormenting you. It's beating me. It's killing me. It's this. It's that. But He won't
Mhm.
ever give you anything you can't handle. And you don't
Exactly.
think that way in the moment. But then when you look back a year later, you're like, damn, look what I just learned. Look what He
Yes.
just brought me through. Look what I
Yes.
survived. And now I'm on the other side of. Now look who I realized is on my team that I couldn't tell a year ago.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm with you. That hit me. That hit me hard. I appreciate that. And again, that's bold that you're teaching it to that young person on your team. That's bold that you get it. I mean, you probably know 42 and 43-year-olds that still don't get that.
Oh yeah.
The three or four things you just said in those few minutes. You're just like, so you're 45 years old and you still don't get this? Okay, I gotta go. All right,
Right.
I gotta go. Honey, get
Because
the check. You gotta
right.
go. You're right.
Because
You're right.
when you've gone through the shitty shit, like the other things that come your way, you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
I'll deal, because that's not worse than that,
Yeah.
and
The
I've got through
stuff.
that. Yeah.
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 Your lawyer tells you this and your house falls through that you're about to buy and you're just like, well, my lease is up tomorrow and you told me we were going to close. And now and how are we supposed to find a place to live? That you're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
The this, the doctor says you might have a thing, but he's not sure if you have it. And you're just like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
It life happens heavy.
It's
Your
heavy.
mom calls you, I might have cancer. Like, you calling me in the middle of the fucking workday for that? Like, you couldn't wait till I got home from work for this? So life happens at you fast, all kind. And obviously, I'm making all of
Fast.
this up, but this happens to real people. All these things happen fast, and you
Yes.
don't think how you're going to survive. You don't know.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
No, no. What you said is powerful, powerful, powerful. Well, let me ask you this. End on a lighter note, right? We're almost at an hour. Almost at an hour. You've lived in some cool places. Who had the best music? You're a radio person?
um you mean like local people?
Yeah, that they were like, oh, this is new, right? Because you're from South Florida. We have a lot of
Yeah.
music down here. We got influences.
I mean, honestly, honestly, the influences from home were probably the best. Like I can throw on so listen, this is funny. So I found this playlist or something on Apple and it had like a lot of like old school um reggae and stuff on it, right? And my daughter loves Ting-a-Ling from Shabba Ranks. It was like,
Ting-a-ling-a-ling,
yes,
school bell ring. That's hilarious.
but that playlist, it had some Beanie Man on there,
Oh,
Shabba, all
oh,
kind of
nice.
like
A
old
little
school reggae.
Buju, little something, okay.
Bruce, all of that, right? And like I have introduced that to her, whatever, and we'll be jamming out sometimes. And it just brings me back. And when you, because you think of like the melting pot of cultures in South Florida, and that's what we got to grow up on, and it was
Yeah.
so like right there. So for me, the sounds from home, I think kind of are number one. But I did love being out in Seattle, and I think being out in Seattle, I experienced more of like going to see live bands play, like Alan Stone. There was a couple of like local people who had got their nice following, like where they would set up at different like venues and stuff on the weekends, or like there's this one restaurant, it's not coming to my mind. They serve awesome dinner, but they have a lot of great live music there too. And a lot of the local artists there have really blown up from playing there. Of course, there's everyone likes to bring up Macklemore, but there's a lot
Bring up
really
Macklemore. My
there's a,
daughters love Macklemore, by the way. My daughters love Macklemore.
but there's a lot of great talent that came out of the Northwest. And
Mhm.
I got, that was something that I can look back and say I did go see like a lot of musicians while I was out there. Not
Mhm.
something I didn't do back home, because I mean, well,
Yeah,
we were
South Florida's,
young
that's one
then,
of the things we're missing. We have
but
a lot of good music here, but we don't do a lot of live on a regular,
yeah,
like 4 bars downtown Fort Lauderdale playing different live music every Friday and Saturday.
right,
We don't have a lot of that here.
right,
We don't
right.
have that.
So I did that a lot in Seattle, and it was really cool. And it just introduced you to a lot of different people and sounds, and you kind of see how like that the grassroots of like an
Hmm.
artist like really coming up and coming to be,
Growing, finding their voice. Hmm.
yeah, finding their voice. And that was really, really cool. So I enjoyed being a part of that scene when I lived there.
That's
But the
beautiful.
music, the music from home though, it's nothing like South Florida, like just the melting pot of culture down there. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So you're you're going on carpool karaoke tomorrow. What are you singing?
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
I stumped you again. I stumped you in the beginning and I
Yes.
stumped you at the end. There you go.
Probably something from Beyonce. She's one of my all-time
Of
favorites.
course.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I had to
Okay.
like pick something at the anything from her, I could sing.
Okay. All right. No, hey,
Yeah.
Halo is probably in my top five of
I
songs.
love that
It's
song.
Halo is probably my top five.
I love
Okay.
that song.
I like that. I like that.
What would
Well,
you sing?
oh, what would I sing?
Throwing it back.
I don't Busta Rhymes is my favorite. So maybe a Busta
Oh.
Rhymes song. I can't rap as fast as he does. I would mumble a lot of the words, but I would sing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I love Halo, for sure. And I don't know. That's my go-to. That's my go-to. Maybe something from the Fugees, right? As you
Oh, yes,
say,
yes, yes, yes.
music sits in your mind in a certain place. So, you know, from the score in like 1995,
Yes.
1996, any of those songs just sit in my mind all the time. So at any given moment, I can listen to the score at like it just came out like a month ago. So
That's a classic.
I would go to something like that. I would go to
That's a
something like that.
classic.
So I always like to ask people about something that's happening in, current times, So we've got from the war in the Ukraine to the shooting last week in Uvalde to, we just had another shooting in Oklahoma
Yeah.
yesterday to some of these things, right? What's the social cause that's in your heart right now, right? You had an extra $1 million, an extra $1,000, what are you donating to? What are you writing a speech for? What's your social cause?
Mm, there's so many, and it's hard because I mean, I'm in news, so it's like I live and breathe this stuff every day.
Right. You're probably
But
seeing a lot of stuff the rest of us aren't seeing,
yes,
honestly.
yes. Um, but if I had to pick just with the current events right now, because there are other things that I'm passionate about, but this gun control stuff, it just
Mm.
really that just really irks me. So anything that that could support, which I know is hard and a lot of times out of our hands,
Mm-hmm.
outside of voting, um, but anything that we could do to protect not just our children but
Mm-hmm.
everybody,
Mm-hmm.
I would put money towards that. Having
Amen.
stricter
Amen.
laws. There are certain guns that just don't need, if you're not in the military, they don't need to be where
Yes.
in
Agree. Agree.
anyone's possession,
Agree. Agree.
that thing tore me up, and really what's sad, and I saw a meme, because we had the shooting at the grocery store. Then not long after that, you had this Uvalde shooting, and then
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, we think about it, we're so mad, sad, angry, all of these emotions, all these things. And then we start to almost forget and move on.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's
NBA
just another
playoffs tonight. Hockey playoffs tomorrow.
sad.
Graduations. Personal life, summer vacations, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, no school. We haven't had a school shooting in 3 months. Yeah, because it's the fucking summer.
Right,
And then September comes around.
right. So I that would be something, because that thing sat with me and bothered me just for I
Mhm.
mean, I mean, for days. I'd look at my daughter and I just get teary-eyed because I'm thinking
Yeah.
of those
Yeah.
parents that don't get to look at
Hmm.
their children anymore. It just,
Yeah.
that thing tore me up. So I would, love to support anything like that. That
Powerful.
could,
I love that.
you know,
I love that. I love that. If you find a charity, let me know. Happy to put it on the podcast, put it on social media so other people can support. Again, I know you're in the news, so you probably hear about different things that a lot of us might miss, might not get to the masses. So please let me know any cool charities out there, cool things to your heart that we can share, put out there. So we're pushing at an hour. So I'll wrap up. I don't want to keep you too late. We all have to go to work tomorrow. It's Friday. Um, but Steph, this was awesome. I've learned so
yes.
much about you. This is great. And again, this I love this. It's me catching up with a friend and chatting. And if 10 people watch, or 30 people, or 100,000 people, it doesn't matter to me. This was a great time.
I love this. This is such a great thing. I
Yeah.
do.
I want to just right because you hit on so many good things from growing up in an amazing safe place that a lot of people don't get to do, to uh, early marriage that doesn't end well, growth out of that, moving on the other side of on the other side of the country by yourself, growth through that, right? Coming back East Coast, reinventing yourself in your career, mom, wife, growth through that, great lessons learned, mentoring the young person in your office. There's so many cool things. I'm proud of you and
Thank
happy. Not
you.
that you're same age as I am, so it's not like it's something crazy. But that's awesome. That's awesome. I cannot wait for people to watch this, learn about you, and catch up with you. Because to me, that's the best feedback when I was like, oh my god, I haven't seen so and so in so long. This was great. To me, that's the best that I could ever ask for, and I think people will enjoy this.
And it's so cool to hear people's stories, right? Because there's always something that a lesson or something that we can
Hmm.
take, or even a place of, oh yeah, I'm like that too, or I like that
Hmm.
too,
Yep. Yep.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, the one of the things that I've learned on a kickoff note here, kick out note here, we sometimes feel like we're by ourselves,
Hmm.
even when you're home with your significant other. But you're at home with your parents, then you're there, you have partners, sidekicks, but then sometimes you're like, am I the only one going through this?
Right.
Am I out here by myself? Am I the only one that got divorced before I was 30? Am I the only one that moved across the country in a new job? Am I the only one, with at home with my daughter and my husband's working and we're balancing it all. You feel alone sometimes.
Right.
And people connect through this. And again, we have a small crowd. And this isn't, I didn't build this to be something big and crazy, and it doesn't need to be. But the extra people that text me, follow up, and say, Tafar, this was great. That was so engaging. I haven't heard from her. And I always looked up to her. I thought she was so cool, or I didn't even know her, and she's at the same grade than I
Right.
was.
Right.
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 And this is
Right.
good to hear her. So I think it's a connection that's I wasn't planning on, and it's been a blessing. So thank you for participating and being a part of it.
Thanks for
Honestly,
having me.
awesome, awesome.